Okay, that was rather rude of my camera to do that. You know what? Now I have a new low. I was about almost 5 minutes into the last recording of the video I was trying to do, and then, like, it appears as if the camera freezes, and then it shuts off. I'm like, and I checked like the storage, like my phone has like 250 gigs of battery. There's no way, and I delete my video pretty much after I upload it to the internet. So there's no way I use up that much storage in that amount of time, which I didn't. I think it was probably just an anomaly, but hey, now I have a new low. Although I should explain, my low was the fact that I did get to see my folks yesterday, which was my high. It was really late. I really didn't get to spend that much time with my mom, and I wound up going to bed later than what I would like to. And my act of kindness, because remember, my high was I saw my parents. My act of kindness was, since yesterday was garbage day, I was able to bring their recyclable bin and garbage cans in. This is really frustrating because I was really, really excited to talk about a few things today. First, let's talk about the fact that, and this is another part of my high, I finished watching Chainsaw Man. I talked about it very little in the video I did a while back, saying what my initial thoughts on it were. Specifically, I had seen the first episode in Japanese. Shortly after that episode came out, they started dubbing it in English, and that's what I've been watching. And yes, I know, the whole Japanese dubs are better than English. Regardless of whether or not you believe that to be true, those are talented voice actors bringing characters to life in a way that the English-speaking audience can understand. So you better believe I'm going to support them. Especially when I really didn't find any problem with the English dub of this show whatsoever. And that's the least of the things I liked about it. Let me tell you something. It has been a long time since I had seen anything more violent, gratuitous, funny, smart, scary, and I'll talk about that in a minute, and just made me smile from ear to ear. I love this show. I think this show is fan-freaking-tastic. And I want season 2 to come soon so I can keep watching it. Because the first season's only 12 episodes. And keep in mind, thanks to Totally Not Mark, I do know how the story goes. But it really was great seeing it unfold little by little. Because Totally Not Mark really just did like a sort of a brief analysis of what he was reading. But the way that Chainsaw Man works is the creatures they fight in the show are devils. Now, the way they explain how devils work, I thought was one of the coolest and most fascinating things I'd ever heard in a long time. Because how it works is the power of a devil, or how strong a devil is very much dependent on how much people fear the very thing that the devil's made out of. For example, coffee. A coffee devil would not be very scary. I mean, yes, coffee can perhaps burn you, maybe. It could stain your clothes. But those are more mildly inconvenient than scary. Now, a car devil, that would be scary. I mean, think about it. You could get run over by a car. You could get into a really bad car accident. You could be in an exploding car, heaven forbid. Those things are scary. That's why a car devil would be very powerful. Enter Denji, who you literally see Denji in like the worst predicament any human being could be in. Because he's an orphan, because his father passed away, but his father somehow accumulated a large debt from the Yakuza, or the Mafia of Japan. And for years, he's been trying to, pay that debt, right? And he's done everything from cutting down trees to even giving up some of his own body parts just so he can pay off the debt. And they don't outright say it, but it's very clear that the Yakuza really are shortchanging him a lot. And they treat him like garbage. I mean, they literally give him 100 yen for like, hey, listen, eat this lit cigarette and I'll give you 100 yen. Like, they treat him like garbage. And what's worse, they later make a deal with the zombie devil. They become zombies. They kill him. But before that, he makes a deal with this little pet devil chainsaw devil called Pochita. Pochita is a good boy. We like Pochita. And with devils, you can make a contract. With this chainsaw devil or Pochita, the deal is, because here's the thing, Denji actually treated Pochita with respect. Like, you really could tell that they had a legit love for each other. No different than, say, a man and his dog. And so, there would be times where Denji would tell Pochita what his dreams are, and that he wants to live the good life. I mean, seriously, there are nights where their dinner is one piece of bread. Just bread. Nothing. So even having something like butter or jam on toast, that blows his mind, right? So the deal is that Pochita will become Denji's heart, and therefore Denji can live. In exchange, Pochita wants to see Denji live out his dreams, live a good life, be happy. And it's so satisfying when he first becomes Chainsaw Man. It is so satisfying seeing those Yakuza die. I mean, they're zombies, so it didn't really matter. Although it does come into play a little bit later in the season. Eventually, the next morning he's found by Miss Makima, who, okay, this is where Denji became relatable, not just for me, but I'm sure for a lot of people. The one thing Denji wants is he wants to be embraced by the love of a beautiful woman. You know what? I can't say I don't feel the same way either. You know, I want that too. So, Makima makes him a deal. Makima could kill him, or he could work for public safety. Obviously, working for public safety is the smart idea, so he does it. And he runs into some other characters, like Aki, who basically he starts living with, and obviously they're two wildly different personalities. You know, Denji's kind of messy and rude, and with a good moral compass, of course. And Aki really is more stoic, quiet, like he will not take any nonsense from anyone. And then there's Power. Oh, Power's awesome. Like, Power is the favorite character of a lot of people. And she's one of my favorite characters too. Because she's even more crass than Denji is. She's a brat. But she's really funny. Holy cow, she's really funny. She's actually a fiend. Now, a fiend is basically when a devil takes over the corpse of a person. So basically, by all accounts, the real person that Power was is dead. So all that's left is, the fiend. And her power is great because she's the blood fiend, where like literally she conjures up anything out of her own blood. And that's really cool. But there are some clear drawbacks. Specifically, the fact that if she uses too much of it, she will become anemic. Which I can't deny. That's actually a really great sort of way to sort of put limits on your characters. Love that. Now, the main goal of a Chainsaw Man is to kill the Gun Devil, which the way they describe the Gun Devil, well, Come on, Gun Devil? Of course it's scary. Who doesn't fear guns? So, the way the Gun Devil works is it has a global reach with a death toll that counts in the millions. Needless to say, finding this thing is hard enough as it is. The way they try and find it is there are devils who actually hold pieces of the Gun Devil, and when you put the pieces of the Gun Devil together, they'll start gravitating towards the Gun Devil itself, and that's how they're going to try and find it. And by the end of the first season, they have about 6.4 kilograms of Gun Devil material, so that's starting to move toward where the Gun Devil is. So they ask where the Gun Devil is now, and obviously they're building up for season 2. I get that. And all throughout this season, you're following Denji, Aki, and Power, and by all accounts, all three of them have personalities that are stupidly different. Especially when it comes to how they all view life. But you really do buy into them. You really do find that you like them because they all have their motivations. I mean, Aki wants to kill the Gun Devil because the Gun Devil killed his family. Power... Okay, I'll be honest, I really have no idea what Power was. She's just awesome. And Denji, he'll do whatever he can to live a good life. And when crap starts hitting the fan regarding what the Gun Devil did for this one former public safety officer, like there's a huge massacre, a lot of people from public safety die, so they get together, storm this one building, but like the main bad guy of this arc is the Katana Man, who is actually the grandson of the Yakuza who put that debt over Denji. So there's obviously a bit of a revenge story. But I love how Denji could have easily pointed out that hey, your grandfather was mean to me too. Killing him was great. He didn't do that though. See, the thing with Denji is he has enough of a moral compass where you can buy him as a nice person, but he really isn't very smart. Like, again, I just mentioned how having toast with jam is like the greatest thing in the world for him. So you can imagine just how, he feels about dealing with the likes of others. Plus, at the end of the day, he wants to get with Miss Machina. Now, I know how the story goes going forward regarding Miss Machina. I don't want to give it away here, but if you read the manga, you know exactly what I am talking about. I won't give it away, but it's really good. And it's also really satisfying where the season ends with Aki and Denji finding Katana Man, and because obviously they have him detained. Well, he's no longer Katana Man. He's just like the guy that started the whole massacre or whatever. Tried killing Denji, killed their friend Himino, which, full disclosure, Denji's 16 years old. He almost had sex with an adult. A hot one, too. My man. But he decided not to go through with it. He wanted Makima to be his first, which we have to respect. Plus, again, Denji's only 16 years old. There's not even Japan would be able to get away with that. So, having a contest where, and pardon the language, considering what I just spoke, where Denji and Aki take nut shots until public safety comes and whoever makes Katana Man scream the loudest wins, and then they're like, and then Aki in his thoughts like, Himino, can you hear this from heaven? This is a requiem from us to you. Like, that's just so satisfying. So if you couldn't already tell, I love Chainsaw Man. I hope you find Chainsaw Man and I hope you watch it. But now I have to talk about another show very important to me. See, growing up, when it came to the stuff I watched when I was a kid, and I said this before, if it wasn't animated, I wasn't interested. Really, the only legit, I mean, there were some live action shows I would watch. I would watch All That and Kenan and Kel, and I'd watch like the Amanda Show when that came on. And when it came to Fox, and keep in mind, I would watch more live action related shows as I got older, absolutely. But when it came to Fox, the only shows I watched that were live action were either Power Rangers or Malcolm in the Middle. But there was this one show that would come on every now and again that as soon as it was on, I just couldn't stop watching. You know, I just couldn't look away from what I was watching. And keep in mind, I didn't watch the entire series all the way through when it first came on. To be honest, I still haven't. But trust me, I've seen myself a lot of episodes and a lot of YouTube clips of this show. Specifically that of Red Foreman. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, today that 90s show airs on Netflix, and I thought it was most appropriate for me to go back. Before we go to the 90s, I think it's appropriate we go back to the 70s. Yes, I'm talking about that 70s show. I mean, what really bothers me now is, I mean, clearly between Friends and that 70s show, I watched that 70s show much, much more. And I think it lasted a little longer than Friends. Well, I think Friends aired first, and then that 70s show came later. So I guess it makes sense that Friends ended first, and then that 70s show ended later. But what really could I say about that 70s show other than the impact it's had on not just the people who watched, but like the careers of who was on that show? I mean, when it comes to the viewing audience, you know, the characters like Eric and Donna and Kelso and Hyde and Jackie and Fez, like, I was a teenager when the show first aired. You know, I could relate to the fact that, hey, you know, they're teenagers. I'm a teenager. That's cool. I can follow them. I can, like, they're sort of going through some of the stuff that I'm going through. I mean, the decades are clearly different from each other. But, you know, it's, you know, great thing. You know, while the years and, you know, environments change, you know, the day-to-day goings on of human life never change at all. You know, it works. And if any adults were watching it, because remember, my parents were teenagers in the 70s. So they very much could relate to what was going on, because that was their time. And, you know, there are times where, like, it's on, and my dad and I will watch it now. And actually, before I get into that, I can't talk about what I was about to talk about without talking about, you know, the characters. I mean, yeah, I mentioned the 6 kids, but let's be honest. They couldn't have that show without Kitty, played by Deborah Jo Rupp, and Red, played by Kurtwood Smith. And yes, Red is my favorite character on the show, hands down. My father loves Red too. And yeah, it's because of his very, very, very effective use of the word, pardon the language, ass. There are times where, like, my brother and I are playing video games, we make a mistake, my father's watching, he's like, dumbass. Those are some good times right there. I mean, this is the show that brought the likes of Topher Grace, who was in movies like Black Klansman, and you know, he was also in Spider-Man 3. I swear Topher Grace has been good stuff. Laura Prepon, famous for being on Orange is the New Black. Wilmer Valderrama, who I believe this role actually helped him get the voice of Manny on Handy Manny. Which, yeah, it was... I really wouldn't call it Bob the Builder for Disney, because Bob the Builder worked on construction, meanwhile Handy Manny was more interior home and like appliances and, tools and stuff. But man, Handy Manny was a good show. I liked Handy Manny. I mean, here's the thing. I only watched it because I liked Wilmer Valderrama. I was far too old to watch it, but it was good. Like, little kids could watch Handy Manny and be very impressed with, and they would like it. But, speaking of people, Jackie Kelso, played by Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher. Yes, one of Hollywood's most beautiful power couples met and dated on that 70's show, and they've pretty much been together ever since. And let's be real here. I mentioned Kitty and Red. Those characters make that show. Because at the end of the day, you legit buy how much they love each other. Actually, I don't really know what Deborah... I think Deborah Jarrett was in that one episode of Seinfeld, if I recall. But, to be honest, I only know Kurtwood Smith from one thing. And that's because he famously said, "Bitches leave" in RoboCop. Which then JD then quoted on Scrubs. I really should do a video on Scrubs. Anyway, I love that 70's show. I think it's one of the best sitcoms ever made. I was smart, funny, relatable, honest in terms of what was going on during those times of the year that other people could relate to. And I still think the finale is one of the smartest finales I've ever seen. It was one of the best finales I've ever seen in terms of how smart it is, because the finale takes place on December 31st, 1979, and the final second of that show is them counting down, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Show ends. And that's brilliant. You can't have that 70's show in the 80s. So it works. It legitimately works. I think this is one of the... Seriously, if you're a fan of sitcoms at all, that 70's show is required viewing. So needless to say, I am very much excited to see that 90's show today. I'm going to start watching it as soon as I can. And believe me, I'll get to the video on that 90's show when I can. But for now, I can just say I am super excited. The trailers I've seen of that 90's show, they look promising. I'm really hoping it's good. But I'll let you know later. For now, I just want to say to like, favorite, share, hit that subscribe button, follow me on social media, turn on those notifications on YouTube. And as always, I am very humble. I made this video for all of you guys watching. Enjoy for today, and hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Thursday. And remember, if you guys want to talk, Jam was going to be here to let you know. Always be back, take care, and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.